E torniamo all'italiano, scusate quindi di nuovo uno switch.
Let's go back to Italian. And I would like to invite here on stage Nicola. Is a pedagogist, is an expert of assistive tech, and he has joined us from Bologna. And they also came with a present because they set up 5 stands to make your children try and play. And maybe you parents and you therapists can try what technology can do. So thanks, Nicola. Thank you for the great work that you are doing in the ASFI Foundation. Is the head of researchers team, and he'll talk about his effort to create an Italian community. We touched on this already when we talked about AAC. And this is important for all the families, not just the ones that live in big cities, to have some contact points and access to all these resources. Thank you. Thanks to Anna Chiara and to Massimiliano. Talking about accessible video games after Mick is like playing the guitar after the Rolling Stones, but I'll try to give my contribution. And I would like to talk about what we do in our foundation, in our ASFI Foundation. It's an auxiliary center in Italy. As you know, there are many centers that give the assessment that Mick will not do during a demonstration. But our foundation, in fact, does give assistance during assessments. Our foundation is it's an NGO, is a no-profit organization, and it works in a network with other Italian associations and foundations. And what we do is helping researchers, teachers, families to use assistive technology. In fact, we deal with these tools and we help ICT. We use ICT for children, youngs, and adults with disabilities, and educative tools for that can be used in schools as well. So we mainly work with families, operators of rehabilitation, and teachers and educators. We work on different technological levels. On one hand, we have assistive technology. On the other hand, we have consumer technology. And then there are the prototypes. They're very dear to us. So, for instance, we use 3D printers to have our own prototypes. Mick already spoke about this, and he showed how there are different ways, different approaches to interact with the digital world. And for us, what is important is this very international concept, and nothing about us without us. So we should start and we should design our tools thinking about who will be the final user of them. Both Anna Chiara and Mick showed how a switch or a button can be the key of the solution. Some other times you need keyboards, adapted keyboards. Some other times there is the possibility to think out of the box, and you can change, you can transform drawings into switches. Our job is to test on video games all the possibilities of assistive technology. This is my colleague Marco, who is trying to play with the mouse operated by the mouth. And we decided that we wanted to create something. So we did this Play4all, which is basically a kit that allows to connect all the switches that Mick showed before to the computer or other digital devices, but also to create switch with things we might have at home. So create switch with Play-Doh, with aluminum foils or other materials that we might have around the house. You can see operators here of an association that's called IRET, which deals with the Rett syndrome, and they use the Play4all kit to create some cause-effect games that happen on the video game, but also happen at the physical level where you can actually manipulate objects. So in this case, for instance, the patient is touching the water, the Play-Doh, and this game was created by the operators and the IRET operators. So they chose the materials, in this case, the ball with water, and then they created the game with Scratch, a platform that I will talk about later. This is a video of Francesca Schettini. She's in the room with us today, and she will be available to show you stuff that she does. And she worked in this case as well. I think in the first case, she was working with a child like the PJ Masks, and they had created they reproduced the image of the PJ Masks with aluminum foil, and then she personalized the game.
Con Anna Chiara e Massimiliano ho detto,
Together with Anna Chiara and Massimiliano, we said that we might talk about this. This is a platform where you can create a video game. It's called Scratch. It's used with an educational purpose to teach coding and programming to children. But it can also be a tool for operators and educators and teachers who don't have the skills to manage IT. And here you can create cause effect games, and they can be tailored on each child. So maybe a child that is interested in the Ferrari cars, I might create a game about Ferrari that I do not find on the regular market, because with Scratch, I can create games that answer the commands given by the switch. So I press the switch, and then the character of my game might sing or dance or whatever.
un ambiente di programmazione per bambini.
Although Scratch is a platform for children, it does require a little bit of time and patience to understand what you need to do. The pairing of the Play4all kit
Switch normali, perché molto spesso
and also normal switch, because the switch is usually the best thing for all the reasons that Mick said. The switch also gives you a feedback. And there is also the possibility to change how I press on the button, but I can play with different materials. So this is, again, the pairing between material that we decide to use and cause and effect. This is something that can be done in schools, because to have the opportunity in schools to involve all the children in these kind of games, it's a very inclusive experiment, and it's also very interesting. So the game is not left to the rehabilitation field domain or something that is that can be done at home only. It's a chance for all the children to build together both the switch and the game. In this case, we're in a school that worked with Play4all to create the game with the Scratch platform for the whole class. And in this case, the teachers asked the kids to think of a virtual way so that Alice could do the roll call. I'm sorry, a virtual dice, so that Alice could do a roll call for her classmates. So assistive technology entered the school classes, and it became interesting for the whole class. And I think it's very interesting to break the cycle, to change the idea that all these tools can be broken, so they must be kept away. No, that's not the case. It's something that that has to be manipulated, that has to be used. So it might be an occasion for everybody to think how to build different things. Play4all in the rehabilitation field with some conducive plastics helped us to help adult patients. So they used a 3D printer in this case with directional arrows that can be used to operate a telephone, a smartphone. Video gaming, let's talk about this. A few years ago, about 10 years ago, the world of video games was very homemade. What needed to be done back in the day was to create prototypes. We were talking about this with Nick. We were like craftsmen. We had to be hackers to create what we wanted.
Un controller per giocare a FIFA.
See, that's a controller to play FIFA game. These are occupational therapists in a hospital we work with. So it gave the possibility to a guy who had a motorbike accident to be able to play FIFA again. For occupational therapists, it was interesting to use this game to study how this object could be used in the field, in the domain of rehabilitation, besides the exercises that they were doing in the gym. But fortunately, things have changed. And as Mick said, great big companies have started investing on the Xbox adapter, for instance, making video games accessible. And for us, this was great news, because we did lose some of the romantic part of being hackers, but we started working with things that exist already. The rest of it, of course, stays. It means that the assessment takes time, as Mick was saying, and we need to take our time to understand what is the ensemble of switches, buttons that might be used.
Perché è troppo difficile.
Sometimes people come to us and say, well, my son or my daughter cannot play the game because they say it's too hard. That's not the case all the time. You need to see and to assess, in fact. Sometimes, this is Alessandro, the colleague that is at the stand now, that using Google Libraries has built this system to play racing games with the eye movement and the head movement. So the combination between different tools, the video game, the science behind the video games, and try to understand what is the best tool for that video game. We do this assessment.
Una strada molto...
And we think it's something that leaves a lot of room for development. There is still too little talking about accessible video games. Sometimes video games might be the best way to start using assistive technology. For maybe a child is more interested in using a tool if there's a video game that he can play. If I make him use Word, maybe he's not that interested. We need, when we were listening to the presentation about AAC, and of course you need to communicate, but you also need something to communicate. So a gaming experience could be very interesting. And what Mick was mentioning before, the co-piloting, it can be a very, very interesting and touching experience. So I will leave you the contact information, and I thank you for listening. If you need more information, click on the website. If you want to join our community, we will be happy to welcome you. We really want to build and expand our community. And we really want to know, if you want to know more about excessive video gaming, special effects, the reference that Mick gave is the Bible for this field. We're trying to create a community to exchange experiences. We are available to make more individual and tailored assessments. What will happen later? It's a demonstration. I think we have about an hour, maybe even less than that. So we need to try and see what we can do. But for each child, they would need an individual assessment, and it can be done, but not today. And we hope we can do this together at a later stage. Thank you.
Grazie. Grazie Nicola, grazie.
Thank you, Nicola. Thank you for the effort and love and passion you put into it. Those who said that somebody said today that research starts with the heart, and this is true for Mick and Nicola as well, and for assistive technology. Does anybody have questions for Nicola? Then, of course, you can go and see the stands and you can talk to him directly if you need to. I guess everybody wants to try hands-on. Before, one very important thing I forgot. On the right, you can try with the ASFI team and the video games with the Mick with the eye gaze. On the left, you'll find Francesca Schettini with the eye gaze games mainly. Also some of the games that Mick showed before. And next to Francesca, there is Roberta Cristofori by Epi Care. And she brought some physical games that play on radio frequency. I saw a dinosaur. So there are different modalities, video games, eye gaze, and physical games that can be controlled with the